Welcome to Roadshow's AutoComplete, your weekly roundup of the biggest news in the automotive world. This week we've got news on 2 new convertible Ferraris, an electric Sea-Doo, and GM's big brake recall. But first, let's start with Land Rover's new Defender. It's been a long time in the making, but Land Rover has finally released its new Defender, and holy hell does it look great! Purists will undoubtedly complain about its unibody construction and its independent suspension, but for those of us who have embraced modern vehicle construction, there's a lot to be stoked about. The new Defender has better departure and breakover angles than the old one, as well as more ground clearance and the ability to wade through nearly a meter of water. Sure, the new Defender's approach angle is marginally worse than before, but that's a seriously minor gripe. Oh, and did we mention that it's available with steel wheels and that they look amazing? The best part of it all is that pricing for the 4-door 110 version starts at just under 50 grand. Now, we don't know how much the smaller 2-door 90 version will cost, but we'd bet it's a little bit cheaper. And that's Jeep Wrangler money. Now, if you'll excuse us, we're going to waste the rest of the day on the US version's configurator. It's looking like Ferrari caught a wicked case of convertible fever in Germany because it just debuted both the F8 Spider, aka the drop-top version of the bonkers F8 Tributo, and the 812 GTS, aka the staggeringly good-looking vert version of the 812 Superfast. These 2 models are a part of a series of 5 new Ferraris that we'll see before the year is out. Also included in that list is the already debuted SF90 Stradale. The mid-engine turbocharged V8 powered F8 and the front-engine naturally aspirated V12 of the 812 may not share a ton of features beyond their relatively similar power and torque figures, but we love that Ferrari has gone all in on the cowl behind the headrest look for both cars. It adds just enough SP1 and SP2 to get our hearts really going. Bugatti hot-rodded a Chiron and took it around its test track to set a certified speed record of 304 miles per hour. Many members of the press, ourselves included, were a little bit critical of the fact that this Chiron was so wildly different from the spec of the standard car. Well, it turns out that Bugatti had an answer to that up its sleeve. Well, sort of, anyway, with plans to release a series of 300 Chirons that share the record-setting car's specs, Dallara-sourced carbon fiber body included. The fact that it's selling these cars makes the whole fastest production car thing less dubious, but again, we'd still like to see what a totally bog-standard Chiron would do in similar circumstances. The advent of gig economy companies like Uber and Lyft have been a great way for people to make some extra cash by driving around. As long as, you're cool with your car smelling like barf on occasion. But if you work for them, you're not actually considered an employee, and as such, you're not subject to any of the protections put in place for employees of companies. Instead, you're considered a freelancer. And as any millennial in a creative industry will tell you, freelancing is kind of a bummer. That's all about to change in California though, because the state just passed a bill stating that a company has to put someone on its payroll if that company controls how he or she performs a task, or if the work is part of a company's standard business. This means that these newly minted employees will get access to things like unemployment insurance and, more importantly, will be guaranteed a minimum wage. We're very curious to see how the companies that make up the gig economy react to this one. Earlier this year, General Motors issued a recall for 310,000 trucks and SUVs over concerns that a vacuum pump in the braking system could weaken and reduce the effectiveness of their brakes. Well, guess what, my dudes? That recall is back, and it's been expanded to 3.5 million vehicles. Specifically, the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra and their 1500, 2500, and 3500 variants from the 2014 to 2018 model years, and the Chevy Tahoe, Suburban, GMC Yukon, and Cadillac Escalade from the 2015 to 2018 model years. Weirdly, GM's fix doesn't involve replacing the pump. Instead, it's going to use a software fix to tell a backup pump that's already installed in the vehicle to engage more quickly. Owners of affected vehicles have already started receiving notifications as of September 6th. Just in case you've been living under a rock for the last year or so, things aren't looking especially sunny for the folks at Nissan. First, they had the problem of low sales and an aging product line. Then they had the whole debacle with Carlos Ghosn, and now things are about to get worse since Nissan CEO Hiroto Saikawa just announced his resignation. Why is he resigning? I mean, he's only had that job for like 2 years, right? Well, it turns out he was improperly overpaid for his work as CEO. Now, unlike Ghosn, Saikawa's pay wasn't illegal, just well outside the company's policy, so don't expect Mr. Saikawa to truly enter the Ghosn zone anytime soon. The The powers that be at the Nissan-Renault-Mitsubishi alliance are already considering options for his replacement, and that replacement will be named by a committee sometime in the very near future. Whoever is in charge of Audi's concepts seems to have finally lost their damn mind, because the brand's latest electric autonomous concept is truly bananas. It's called the AI Trail, and not only is it powered by 4 independent electric motors, packing gnarly-looking custom 35-inch tires, evil futuristic dune buggy styling, and level 4 autonomy, it has freaking drones for headlights. Yeah, you heard that correctly. This concept has drones for headlights. The system is called Audi Light Pathfinders, and when they aren't buzzing around lighting up the trail, they're docked and charging on the AI Trail's roof. Now, is this thing going anywhere near production? We'd bet not. Is it an excellent concept despite that? Absolutely. BMW is getting in on the hydrogen fuel cell game with its iHydrogen Next test vehicle, which is based on the current generation X5. The goal for the program is to find other means of electrification that don't rely on the power grid for juice. Hydrogen fuel cells are an established but still developing way of doing that, and we're seeing more manufacturers get in on the tech, like Hyundai and Toyota. BMW isn't totally committed yet to having a production FCV by its self-imposed date of 2025, it's instead waiting to see what the market demand is like. We'll keep our fingers crossed that it actually follows through. Oh, and that the hydrogen filling infrastructure gets a little more robust. Tesla's been putting out this strong, weird divorced dad vibe lately since Porsche's Taycan has come out and become something of a media darling. Don't worry, we'll explain what we mean. See, the Big T was previously content to kick back in Fremont and just talk about how its cars were the best in the world. But now that there's real competition, aka mom's new boyfriend, Porsche, Tesla's scrambling to try and publicize that it's setting lap records, even if some of those claims are a little on the hinky side. For example, Tesla is claiming that it set a lap record at Laguna Seca with a time of 1 minute 36.555 seconds, which handily beats the previous record set by Jaguar's very silly Project 8 sedan. The part where things get a little murky is that, while a special edition, Jag's vehicle was technically a production car, while Tesla's car appears to be modified based on the Model 3 steering wheel we can see in the video. And if that's changed, who knows what else has been tweaked. So, still good work, Elon, on doing a fast lap in a car with 4 doors, I guess? The world is becoming an increasingly strange and frightening place, but there are still good things that everyone can unite behind. Those things are called personal watercraft, aka jet skis, aka Sea-Doos, and we'll be damned if Canadian manufacturer BRP didn't just debut an electric Sea-Doo as a concept at its Club BRP event in Las Vegas. Currently, BRP says it's evaluating the market and customer interest and blah blah blah, and it's not guaranteed for production. But we're out here trying to live our best Kenny Powers fantasies while also reducing our carbon footprint. Currently, we don't have any performance specs for the electric Sea-Doo, but it's important to remember the words of the late, great Bill Hicks. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a jet ski. And you never see an unhappy person riding a jet ski. That's it for AutoComplete. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay notified of all new videos on Roadshow, and we'll see you again next week.